the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out.
Hello, Miami. Thank you so much for watching 305 Sports Now. I am your host, Will, and we are in 2 segments as it's 305 Live and, of course, the second episode. And he's here today. He's here today for our segment of Our Take, the host of the very popular I Hate Football podcast and also the co-host of College Blitz with very talented baseball scout, former baseball scout, Russ Morgan. What's up, Q? How you doing?
Sir, what's going on, bro?
Hey, we both did double duty tonight, man, as you just finished hosting College Blitz, and I was on Cafecito and Kane. Big shout out to John.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How was that? How's John doing?
He's great, man. He's always great, man. You know, very calm, cool, collected. Brings a heck of an analysis. A lot of questions, man, from the commentary group. So that's always fun. I like the engagement.
I need to get on there with him, man.
Yeah, man.
I like me
let him.
It's a good show.
Yeah, shoot him a text, bro. He's very good. He's very good at making room for guests, bro. He's awesome at that.
100%, bro. 100%.
Well, we're not gonna take too long with Bethune because we all knew it was gonna be a thrashing. You know, in general, the most impressive thing I thought I saw was Carson Beck going 15 for 15. That was something that was very impressive because of the efficiency that Carson Beck has. And I want to ask you a question about Carson Beck. Have the Georgia fans come around and like, yeah, he's not as bad as we thought?
You know, they haven't. But this is the thing, though. This is the thing. This is what happened. What happened was Georgia is 2-0.
Okay.
Right? And, you know, Georgia, do you know who Georgia's played so far to be 2-0?
I think it's Austin P and Marshall, right?
Marshall, they started off with, and Austin, they're 2-0, right?
Okay.
So, guess who? You know who they played on Saturday?
So who are they playing Saturday?
They go to Tennessee, right?
Ooh, it's a good tough
and
one.
So when me and Russ on College Blitz podcast, everybody check it out. When we did our preview for our SEC preview episode, and I caught some strays from some people that are like, oh, you guys, you crazy if you think Georgia's gonna go up to Tennessee and look, you know, with their record. That's cool. Like their previous record in Tennessee is favorable. And I don't remember right off the top of my head, but they rarely lose in Knoxville. This is the thing. It's 2025, and that record previously doesn't matter. Right? So for all the people that have been telling me that you upgraded with Gunnar Stockton, well, guess what? You're going to get a chance to prove that on Saturday. Right? Because Gunnar Stockton against Marshall and Austin P has averaged 5 yards per attempt throwing the ball. So, listen, it's one of two things. Oh, they play Marshall and Austin P and Mike Bobo hasn't wanted to open up the offense to da-da-da-da. Maybe. That's certainly a possibility. Maybe, right? They upgraded the wide receiver room. Supposedly you upgraded at quarterback, right? The offensive line is supposed to be back to where it needs to be, right? Bunch of talent in the running back stable. Cool. Averaging 5 yards per attempt against Marshall and Austin P. Listen, I don't give a damn I don't care how conservative you're being in preparation for game 3 in Knoxville, you know, at Rocky Top versus Tennessee. Averaging 5 yards per attempt against those two teams, to me, if I was a Georgia fan, would be worrisome. So, you know, who knows? They may go to Rocky Top and just, you know, and mop the floor with them. We'll see. Okay. But this is definitely one of the games that AD was going on, bro. This is definitely one of the games that I'm really interested in you know, this weekend. But we'll see. We'll see. We're going to get a chance to see Gunnar Stockton against a real team. You know, Tennessee's a good defense. And we'll see if they really were just kind of being super conservative the first 2 weeks and not showing a whole bunch, you know, on tape. We'll see how it goes. But I'm skeptical personally. So.
Yeah, my buddy from church, man, the guy called Bulldog in general, I jokingly saw him at church on Sunday, and I said, hey, isn't it great when you actually a quarterback actually has receivers that can catch, you know? And he tells me he'll break your heart. he'll break your heart. And I said, well, will he break my heart? I said, would it break our hearts by acting like the guy the year before? I don't think so. Or is it gonna be heartbreaking the fact that he doesn't have a line that's 100th in the country and running the football and receivers that drop a total of like 400 or 500 yards. I mean, let's be sincere. When they're making one-handed catches against supposed the best secondary in the country, so
with 3 offensive linemen taken in the top 3 rounds of the draft.
Yeah.
Like, make it make sense to me. Make it make sense to me. Like, anybody who's a Georgia fan, if you're watching a Georgia fan, bro, like, you had 3 offensive linemen taken in there were 3 top 100 picks in the NFL draft. Like, don't tell me there's not talent. Georgia recruits at an elite. Like, listen, what have we talked about? What have we talked about with recruiting and picking and choosing? There's a handful of teams that pick and choose. Everybody else recruits. Georgia's one of the teams that picks and chooses. Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, right? I mean, we know the teams. Georgia lands whoever they want, and they've been putting people in the NFL ever since Kirby got there. They finished with the #1 class in the country in Kirby's tenure like 5 times. They're in the top 5 every year. Like, you should never struggle with talent. You should never struggle. They put out O-line draft picks every single year. And then you can't protect Carson Beck. You can't run the ball. Right? So, there again. And then the other thing, too, that cheers me on, and we'll move on after this. I get it. We'll be done with the Carson Beck talk. But it's like, dude, you know how many players that Georgia got arrested last year? Like double digits. Everybody's speeding. For some reason, the NIL kicked in. Everybody's got, Chargers, and everybody's got, whatever the hell cars they got. And everybody's speeding through Athens. They're getting pulled over left and right and cited for speeding, the whole deal. You want to know which one of those double-digit guys getting arrested or whatever it is? You know who didn't appear on that arrest list? Carson Beck. So, again, this isn't me beating the drum for Miami's quarterback. This is just me, just clamoring for a little bit of perspective, right? And just a little bit of just, a little bit of common sense, and, just a little bit of just, don't just the bias or whatever that existed with him. And oh my God, we're so glad. There again, the guy didn't do anything wrong. Didn't get arrested for, sexual this, speeding that. But the guy was never arrested. The guy did everything right. But then when he leaves, it's, oh my God, he's this, he's terrible, he's, blah. Enjoy Gunnar Stockton. Good luck to him at Rocky Top on Saturday.
Yeah. Before we go into the USF, I want to bring up one more thing about Carson Beck. Not very communicative with the teams. That's been a myth, because he obviously, from what you see after games, he gets very much along with not only his offensive personnel, but also his defensive personnel as well. As they have even handshakes for everybody. So I'm happy. I think we're going to get the best of Carson Beck this season, especially since I do think he's to be protected, and I think he has better talent at receiver, or at least more efficient talent at receiver. And I'll leave it at that.
And you see him in the post-game interviews.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you see people going up to him. Everybody's dapping him up. Everybody's, like you mentioned, right? Everybody's got like the handshakes with him and the whole deal. Like, you saw it after Notre Dame, right? Not so much after Bethune-Cookman for obvious reasons. But after that Notre Dame game, the relief that he had, right? The disposition that he had, the relief that he had, the things that he mentioned, being back in love with football, the whole deal, like, that's not a coincidence. That's not a mistake. Right? I think whatever happened in Georgia, and listen, who knows if we'll ever get all the details from whatever happened in Georgia. Mm-hmm. But I think for the people that have mentioned, hey, it was good for both sides to just, get a clean start. I don't disagree with that. I think a lot of times, very often, relationships, just like anything, man, but they run their course, right? And I think a guy like him, who was attracting the attention that he was commanding the money that he was, and the whole deal for whatever. Listen, and I want to say it was Gio, if I'm not mistaken, and don't hold me to it. And if Gio's watching and I got that one wrong, then forgive me, my man. But I could have sworn it was him, but it was one of those deals where him and Mike Bobo weren't getting along. And for all the Georgia fans out there, that shouldn't surprise you, because there's very few Georgia fans that approve of Mike Bobo, right? And so whatever concepts he was instilling, whatever game plans he was putting together, didn't fit Carson Beck and his style and his skill set. And so that caused apparently some friction, and that apparently caused him to be caused it to be the main reason why he entered the transfer portal. And so I'm just surprised, and I've mentioned this before, that Georgia, the way they recruit players, to me, should be the same way they recruit coaches, right? So to me, losing a guy like Todd Monken to the Baltimore Ravens, to me, to go back to a guy like Mike Bobo, who's been there already, and mixed results and the whole deal, a fan base never ever really approved of that guy being OC. Like, to me, if you're Georgia, you should be able to just go out there and be like, hey, the next up and coming OC, hey, we want you, and that guy should be like, hey, send the plane, I'm on the way. Like, to me, that's the way I look at Georgia, because Georgia they're elite recruiters, right? They land whoever they want to. So to me, to settle for a guy like Mike Bobo, who just like, he's Kirby Smart's really good friend, by all accounts, is really the only prerequisite that there was there. Like, to me, I'm just a little bit surprised that they didn't aim higher than a guy like Mike Bobo, who has, not popular with the fan base, not a guy who gets anybody excited, and who clearly didn't get along with Carson Beck, and caused him to enter the transfer portal, transfer mind.
And not totally agree with you, and I've said it numerous times. I'm not going to beat a dead horse on the show. I was never a big fan of Mike Bobo. I remember him from South Carolina, and I thought the offense was absolutely anemic, and I think he's done the same thing in Georgia. Just my perspective on
he's not popular among the fan base, bro. I absolutely promise you that. When he came back, the fan base was not thrilled about that. So we'll see how it goes. Again, I don't get it. I don't get the hire, to be totally honest.
Well, one popular coach, and he coaches at the University of South Florida, is Alex Galesh. Alex Galesh turned a team that was considered a laughingstock for a while into a team that at least is respectable and you can't take lightly, because they could come in and beat you. Boise State found that out week 1, and Florida basically threw that game away week 2. All right. What are your thoughts on both? I'll give you my perspective, but I want you to go first. What were your thoughts on USF's first 2 games? Is it USF's just that good, or the teams they played are a little overrated?
So start with Boise State. I think a little overrated, if we're being honest. And and that's the thing, man. When you're looking at those group of, I guess we're calling them group of 6 now, group of 5, group of 6, whatever. Those teams, by and large, the biggest difference with those teams compared to your Power 4 is the line of scrimmage, right? And I think obviously one was Boise State being a big 12 team, right? Yeah, the Big 12, right?
I think so.
No, Mountain West.
They Mountain? Yeah, that's right. They're part of Group of 5. Mountain West. Yeah, because they got in last season. Yeah, you're right. So I was thinking about Arizona State.
Yeah, so
that's what I was thinking about.
So Mountain West versus AAC. But you're looking at them, in terms of like that's the difference, right? It's like those teams versus your Power 4, right, on the line of scrimmage and the whole deal. But both of those being group of 5, group of 6 teams, right? You saw USF just ran the ball off, just left and right. I think Boise State probably a little slightly overrated, but that's what you get in week 1, right? Sometimes you just get these teams that maybe are ranked and they shouldn't be. But, good win, right? Like USF bullied Boise State. Like, from what I saw that game, USF just like they ran the ball on left and right, and they bullied them. The Florida game was a little bit more surprising to me based on a lot of factors, not the least of which, is Florida is just a way more talented team. But really, really interesting, type of offensively, their scheme and what it is that they try to do was surprising to me. Like I guess they just got tired of running the ball. Florida did, and so now Lagway, now he's throwing the ball and the whole deal, and I don't think that's where his strength lies yet necessarily. I think he's a talented dude, has a good arm, but isn't the most talented dude in the world. And so it was just kind of a mix of things, right? I think they should have kept running the ball, and they didn't. But then also penalties, that they had like 11 penalties over 100 yards.
Yeah.
Lots of drops, right? Several touchdowns called back. If you look at the game, for me, I think I almost feel like Florida, probably should have won that game. But a lot of self-inflicted wounds, with Florida. Second half, USF, really did, kind of dominate that second half. But there again, man, it's like I was surprised by it. But I think in the end, when you look at the way the game went, I think Florida essentially, like I heard a lot of people say, "Oh man, they got out coached." I don't think they got out coached. To be honest with you, I don't think Billy Napier got out coached. I think what ended up happening was he went away from the run, and then again, a lot of self-inflicted moves, not necessarily turnovers, but penalties, drops. And I think, again, you stop running the ball. So I think all those things mixed in made it so that, USF was able to win that game.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I want to go a little bit into the Boise State game. I'll be frank with you. Boise State looked weak in my perspective. Yeah, I saw the condensed version. They looked very weak. 3 turnovers. It was really bad. The one thing I will give UCF credit for is that when they face teams that are deemed superior than them, they do force turnovers. They did it to Alabama last year. They did it once to Lagaway this year as well. Brown had a pretty solid game. Nothing great, but 16 of 24, 210 yards passing, 2 rushing touchdowns in the game as well. But you're right. They absolutely bullied Boise State, 412 yards to their 278. They totally embarrassed Boise State. And again, I just don't think Boise State is that good of a team. They look smaller when they face USF. They had a better chance against Florida to face a much difficult team, and Florida wet the bed, man. All right, 11 penalties, 2 touchdowns called back. Second touchdown, I think the referees were a little too flag happy, in my opinion. I think they gave USF a little bit too much there. Big catch by Keyshawn Singleton. He's a guy that Miami may have to watch out for. 2 catches, 75 yards, a big 66-yard catch as well. But they really didn't pressure DJ Lagaway that much. He had a clean pocket, only really 3 recorded pressures, and one of them only got home.
3 pressures.
Yeah.
So
yeah. When clear pocket.
And the 3 were design blitzes.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. So if you're looking at both teams now having moved on from that game, right? You're looking at Florida going to Death Valley, right? Going to Baton Rouge and playing against Blake Baker, who we know well. Yeah. And now playing against that front 7, the D-line at LSU, the linebackers at LSU. You don't think that's going to be a totally different game now, going to LSU and playing against that defense? And then if you're South Florida, you think that what you saw with DJ Lagaway, you think that's going to be replicated on Saturday versus Carson Beck and that offensive line that's blocking for him? Okay. I mean, seen a lot of fans, a lot of South Florida fans, bro, doing the
Barstool's back, man. I thought Barstool Sports for USF is back. I'm like, dude, this guy didn't he get a whooping last year? Him and Donald were going at it all the time last season, and then radio silence when they got whooped, and he's back again. Talking to UM fans again.
Listen, for as terrible, and I get it, that was last year. Yeah. But for as terrible a defense as Miami had last year, because they were terrible. I was at that game.
Okay.
Right? It was 26-15 at halftime. Right? And then the second half, they got shut out by a terrible defense. They scored 24 unanswered points in the second half and beat them 50-15. So, there again, right? I get that was last year, but I don't know where this well, I guess I know where the confidence comes from. They're 2-0 against 2 ranked teams. But listen, Miami's not Florida. Miami's not USF.
Yeah, Miami is my take on the game. Miami's going to beat the hell out of them right off the gate. I'm not saying blow them out, but I'm saying we beat the hell out of them. They're going to control the line of scrimmage. That's good. They did it last year. It's going to be a lot of Jordan Lyle because he's going to be healthy, Mark Fletcher, and Marty Brown. You're going to get a big dose of that. It's going to be very balanced as well. USF is not going to give up the deep ball. All right. So they're going to leave the middle of the field open for Beck. So it's going to be a Malachi Tony show. It's going to be probably utilize the tight ends a little bit more as well. They'll get, Keelan Marion involved more in the offense. I just think Miami, at the end of the day, I think Miami will win this game by at least, I'm being conservative, 10 points, but I wouldn't be surprised if they cover the spread of 17.5. Adrian, that's not a bad number. The reason being, and by the way, I'm also going to predict Byron Brown hasn't thrown an interception. I think in 300 dropbacks. I think I heard or something like that. I predict
he's got a streak. I can't remember. It's over 200 passes, I think, without a.
Yeah, I think he's getting picked this game. I'm predicting an interception.
Well, listen, this is, there again. If we're sitting here looking at both sides of the ball, where I think Miami really starts to kind of take control of this game is, I think, on offense, right? And as we know, man, football was the ultimate team game. Every unit affects every other unit, right? And when you're looking at USF's offense being affected by Miami's offense, and where I think that goes is Miami establishing the line of scrimmage. Remember, Florida, for whatever reason, they just stopped running the ball. They just decided, hey, you know what? We're going to let Lagway throw it. Okay, cool. Terrible idea, but do what you want to. You think Miami's going to do that? You think Miami's going to get sick of running the ball? They're not.
No.
Exactly. Just like Adrian's saying, they're going to run the ball. That's what they're going to do. They will not get sick of running the ball. So they're going to line up. They're going to run the ball down their throats. So what does that do? Not only does that, obviously for your offense, that, time of possession, right? That whole deal keeps your defense off the field, keeps their offense off the field. So now you end up going down a couple scores, and now you turn Byron Brown into a passer, which is what you want. You want Byron Brown to turn into a passer. So, again, I think in terms of the X's and O's and what the strategy is going to be, I don't think there's anything there that's going to be, reinventing the wheel. I think they're going to line up. They're going to run the ball. They're going to tell USF, hey, let's see if you can stop this. And they're going to run the ball and run the ball and run the ball. Carson Beck isn't Lagway. He's not going to make the mistakes that Lagway was making, last game. And again, I think they established a line of scrimmage on defense. I think, on offense. And I think on defense, when you look at what Miami has been doing in terms of tackles for loss, sacks, getting home with only 4, I just think it's going to be a challenge for USF on both sides of the ball. I don't see it going their way. Again, I don't 17.5 is a big number. I hope they cover. I'm thinking more, kind of in that 37, 20, 20, 37, 23 range, somewhere around there. You know what I mean? Somewhere near the spread. Hopefully it's more than that, but I kind of see it, getting into that third quarter and Miami kind of, running away with it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be on the offense side of the ball. They're going to keep the spread offense off the field. I mean, the tempo offense off the field. So they're going to, run the ball, tire out their defense, and then they'll run away with it in the fourth quarter with a couple touchdown passes by Beck, and they just continue to run the football as well. On defense, CJ Clark caught Miami off guard because the reputation of CJ Clark was that he was a statue. CJ Clark, coming into the game against
CJ Clark.
Yeah, he was a statue. That was the reputation. That's where everybody was here. Oh, he's a statue. And he surprised everybody with it, with his QB runs and stuff like that, his draw plays. Miami's not going to get surprised by that. They know what Byron Brown is. They know exactly what he's going to do. They know the size of the individual. I know they already have somebody prepared and scout to take him on, to spy him as well. And I told Cafecito, every single time that young man takes off, you have to make him wish he never took off. All right, punish him to make him rethink, oh crap, should I take off? Should I do my RPO? Whatever the case may be. And I think that's pretty much what you're going to do. Miami needs to dominate the line of scrimmage. The front four is much bigger and their offensive line, shut down that run. They really didn't, offensively, they've been okay, but they haven't been anything like wow, like Florida State, what they did to Alabama. It hasn't been wow. So I think Miami could neutralize this offense, similar to what they did last year as well, when they ran away with it again, when everyone's like, oh, USF. They look what they did to Alabama. And Miami ran away with it, like you said, with a much weaker defense. And I think this defense right now is, first of all, they are much more physical. Okay. They are communicating much better. They have better talent in the secondary. and they have a nastiness to them that didn't exist the first couple of years with Guidry. So I think that's something that we're going to really see this upcoming Saturday. Plus, they're not going to take them lightly, like I think that Boise State and Florida did.
Yeah, and you mentioned the communication side of things, man. That's kind of one of those things with a, you know, with an up tempo, you know, type of offense like this is. I think communication is at a premium, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's what you saw with Florida that they didn't do well, right? They had problems, you know, substituting and all that kind of thing. And so, you know, I think it was a great thing for USF to have beat Florida, so that there's, again, you know, like the saying over, you have our attention, right? And so I think if USF loses that game, I think, you know, that maybe, you know, Miami kind of comes into this thing overlooking them and looking forward to Florida, maybe not taking them seriously. You know, but I think with that win, you know, at the Swamp, you know, immediately, you know, the antennas go up, and I think now you're watching tape a little bit more, and not that they weren't before, right? But I think you're, you know, watching tape a little bit more intently. Now you're listening a little bit better, and you know, they're having to, you know, they tell you, and they don't really have to try very hard. Like, listen, these guys have beat 2 ranked teams already, right? Yeah. They opened up the season with Boise State, they went to the Swamp and won. And so this team is not a team to be taken lightly. I think, you know, they're a team that, again, obviously very talented on at the quarterback position. That dude was running over Boise State defenders like they were, you know, high school kids, right? I mean, he was bullying them. I don't think he's going to have the the same effect on Miami's defenders. You know, I think they're going to have a lot to say about, you know, how things are going to go. But again, I think the biggest thing is turning that guy into, you know, somebody who is a thrower of the football. And when that happens, I think Miami, the same way they're going to have the advantage offensively on the line of scrimmage, and defensively, I think they're going to have, you know, the advantage. And, you know, 16 tackles for loss, 4 sacks now in the season, and I think they're going to add to that come Saturday.
Yeah, no, I mean, I completely agree with you. I think it's going to be a very, very rough situation for USF. I don't think USF is gonna. At the end, Miami's just way too talented, and the discipline has been much better this year on defense, with a couple like breakdowns, but it's not like last year where you never wanted to see the defense on the field. Like, you're excited this time to see the defense as well. Ruben Bain looks very healthy as well, very motivated. It's an NFL year for him. Mesidor looks like everybody looks faster. It's really interesting because last year they looked slow. Getting off the blocks, you know, on the front four did, but everybody looks faster this year. The way they collapsed on CJ Carr as well, the way they went after the Bethune-Cookman quarterback, it was a short passing game that kind of kept him, you know, alive throughout most of the game as well. And I think you're going to see a little bit of the same, you know, this upcoming Saturday. Like I said, like we've said, they're not taking them lightly. They're going to be ready. They're going to be ready for the quarterback draw. They'll be ready for the tempo, and I think it's going to be at the end of the day, Miami pulls away, you know, in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, the numbers also for line of scrimmage numbers don't favor USF.
No,
you know, when you're looking at everything they have going on in terms of, you know, offensively, defensively. South Florida's defensive line, they're one of the worst rated units, you know, in the country, and you know, you're looking at now, you're going against now the best offensive line, you know, that you're going to have played, you know, through the season. That doesn't bode well for you, right? If you can't get home, you know, against Carson Beck, and you give that guy time to cook back there, you give Malachi Tony, CJ Daniels, Keelan Marion, you know, JoJo Trader, you know, everybody time to get open. And again, right, this is how everybody's been saying, listen, Cam Ward was the home run hitter, Carson Beck is singles and doubles. Listen, he's going to single and double you to death, right? You give that guy time to throw the ball. And again, I'm not saying that he's Cam Ward, you know, but he's a guy that is not afraid to check the ball down, take what the defense gives him, and you sit there and dink and dunk your way to a big time lead and turn Byron Brown into a passer, which I think is a formula to beat a team like USF. But the way they performed, you know, to this point, a little bit surprising that they've got 2 top 25 wins, considering, you know, what their defensive line has been. But I think that's also a testament, you know, to, especially in game 2, Florida basically letting them off the hook. I think, you know, Florida will, you know, just stop running the ball. And then the combination of penalties and mistakes via drops, really, really helped USF pull that game out.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And again, won't be a problem for Miami. Miami's going to pretty much dominate the line of scrimmage, and that's going to be on both sides of the ball. That's going to be both sides of the ball. All right, JoJo Trader, you just brought him up. JoJo Trader, who was basically on a pitch count for game 1, sat out game 2 for health reasons as well. Will definitely make an appearance, and I think we'll get more snaps game 3. How much of an impact do you think JoJo's going to make in this game? Do you think we'll finally see Carson stretch the field a little bit more, since JoJo Trader is known for his not only his good footwork but also his speed and his hands?
Man, listen, I hope he's gonna be a significant part of the game plan. I think, when we were talking about it, before the season started, and we were talking about who we thought was going to be the leading receiver for Miami. Mm-hmm. I thought it was hard to pass over, JoJo Trader, right? A lot of people have Malachi Tony, but I was like, Malachi Tony's 17 years old. I think he's going to be a big part of the offense. I don't think he's going to lead them, in catches or yards. And then CJ Daniels, I was like, maybe. My thought was always JoJo Trader. And, and granted, right, we're only 2 games in, so a lot could change. But man, for people who forget, you got to remember, this was a guy who was the number 2 receiver in the state of Florida behind a guy named Jeremiah Smith, right? Yeah. Played on the same team as him. Guy who was super talented in the whole deal. The biggest thing with JoJo Trader, he's been injured, right? And how does the saying go, right? Best ability is availability, right? And he just hasn't been available, right? And so I think when he finally figures out that side of things in terms of the physical part of things, and he's on the field consistently and regularly, I think he's going to be a guy you can count on. I think he's a guy who, we know you start with the number that he's wearing, right? And for a lot of teams, the number doesn't matter. But at Miami, you have to be very highly thought of to wear the number 1, at least in Mario Cristobal's, program. And the 2 guys wearing it are highly thought of, right? JoJo Trader on offense, Bo Torre on defense. Those are guys who are very highly thought of, right? And so he didn't get that number, just by mistake. And then when you look at the talent, when you look at the route running ability, the hands, you have to be really excited for what it is he can bring to the table when he is healthy. And I think now him being healthy, against USF, I think that's one more thing they got to worry about, one more thing they have to defend against. With him, being full go, hopefully not on a pitch count, I think is a great thing. It's positive for him and the team. And I expect big things from him, man. Again, he hasn't done it to this point because he hasn't really been super healthy. But I definitely expect moving forward that he's going to be a significant part of the offense.
Yeah, he showed flashes last year, especially in the bowl game when he caught that touchdown from Cam Ward. So I do expect a lot out of him this year. He should have had a touchdown against Notre Dame, but the referee didn't catch him. Mr. Christian Gray, kind of pulling on the jersey a little bit there. So, but I do expect good things out of him. I do expect him to make a high impact against USF as well. Before we're gonna take a quick break, and because we gotta pay a little bit of bills. All right, take a quick break. In general, we're gonna come back to see who's gonna be the defensive impact player of the game, and then our keys to the game before we let you go for the evening. But before we come back, I just want to let you know that this show is officially sponsored by Fan Outfitters. Yes, Fan Outfitters. If you're ever in the Kendall area, Davie area, or Paramount Pines area, please pass by your local Fan Outfitters. Ooh, Miami. I am proud to announce that Fan Outfitters is the official sponsor of 305 Sports Now. With locations in Pembroke Pines, Davie, and Kendall, you can find the latest gear and accessories for all your favorite South Florida teams. Teams like your Miami Hurricanes, your Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers, Miami Dolphins, Miami Heat, Inter Miami, Miami Marlins, and many, many more. So if you ever find yourself in the Pembroke Pines area, Davie, or Kendall, please stop by Fan Outfitters, the official sponsor of 305 Sports Now. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, once again, this show is brought to you by Fan Outfitters. If you're ever, once again, the Pembroke Pines area, Davie area, and Kendall, go to Fan Outfitters so you can check out your best gear for Miami Hurricanes gear, Florida Panthers, Miami Dolphins, Miami Heat, Miami Marlins, and many, many other teams. Will, next time you come down, man, I got to take you to Fan Outfitters, dude, so you can get yourself some gear, dude.
Let's do it, man. Can always use more gear, bro. Can always
yeah, man, definitely. Definitely, bro.
My girl would disagree, but, I think I I couldn't find somewhere to put it.
That's funny. That's cool. That's cool. Oh man, that's funny. What was going to? Oh, that's right. Yeah. So we're looking at right now is we're looking at our defensive player of the game. Who do you think is going to make the biggest impact against USF?
Ooh, man, that's a tough one, bro. I think it's really easy. I think it's really easy to say, a guy like Ruben Bain, based on all these reasons. Let's go with Akeem Mesidor. I think the attention that people are going to put on Ruben Bain, I think is going to open up, Akeem Mesidor to have a big game. Let's go with Akeem Mesidor.
I think Mo Toure. I think Mo Toure is going to be in charge of maybe spying Mr. Brown a little bit. So I think he's going to have a lot to do with the defense in this upcoming game, whether it's anchoring as the Mike linebacker or whether it's making sure that Brown doesn't go for big yards. I think he's going to be the one in charge of it. He's quick and he's the most capable linebacker of dealing with the physicality that Byron can bring to the table. He's not going to run him over very easily, and Mo can stick it. So to anybody. So we'll see how that one goes. So my impact will be Mo.
The emphasis with on the second level, obviously being with Wesley was saying, being with a guy like Mo Toure.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see, man. That the pressure's going to be on those guys to tackle in space. Definitely expect Miami to be in zone looks the majority of the time, just because playing man. You're having to turn your back to the quarterback, and that's where those big runs get broken off.
Yeah.
So I think they're definitely going to be in a zone, type of look, and it's going to be up to the linebackers and those DBs to tackle in space. I think guys like Xavier Lucas, Keontae Scott, who's been elite to this point at the nickel position. Guys like that, it's going to be on them, to take on that challenge and tackle in space. And but again, man, I fully expect them to step up to the challenge and affect the game, positively. But again, I think if you made me pick one right now, I'm going to go with Akeem Mesidor, but I definitely like your pick with Mo Toure.
Yeah, it's gonna be a physical game, man. A physical game. It's gonna be interesting zone because the whole premise with South Florida athletes that we're not zone kids. So the whole idea behind the Heatherman defense was gonna be simple and attacking. So we'll see. I do agree with you. It makes perfect sense. If you have a quarterback that breaks out of the pocket quite a bit, having a DB, kind of help out the spying linebacker would be the right call. So we'll see how our kids do with that. So we'll see. But I'm not pushing back, man. I wouldn't be surprised if Miami changes up the defense a little bit because of the dual threat quarterback that is Byron Brown. I do think though that if they do pull away, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Going to give them something to think about.
Yeah, exactly. But I do think when they pull away, they will pin their ears back, and you'll see more man coverage, and then you're going to see guys like Ruben Bain, Mesidor, or whomever they bring in, to back up those guys as well. Feast a little bit. We've seen a lot of Marquise Lightfoot, which has been pleasant on defense this year. That kid is a lightning rod when he runs, man. He is a gazelle as a defensive end. So I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of may use him a little bit on the spy as well, because they use him a little bit against Bethune. So we'll see how that goes in that game, man. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited. John did with me a keys to the game that isn't so typical. So I want to do that with you without stating the obvious. Okay, Q, without stating the obvious, what are your keys for Miami to win this game?
Start with offense, man. I think just establish a line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
Because again, not only what that does for you offensively, but the way you keep their offense off the field, or you help your defense by keeping that offense off the field. So I think it serves both purposes, right? I think on the line of scrimmage on offense, I think you line up and you run it till they prove that they can stop it, or they prove they can affect it. And I just, all things considered, man, and where we're at and what they've showed, I have a hard time believing that they can stop it. I think, again, Florida last week let them off the hook, right? And so I think offensively, you line up and you establish, you establish dominance on the line of scrimmage offensively. Defensively, I think, not super different. I think, you keep doing what you've been doing, right? I think getting home with 4 You know, if you're the D line, you know, and I think the you know the linebackers and the DBs, I think the emphasis is going to be on them to tackle in space. And I think for all the 11 guys playing defense, I think the communication has to be there. I think everybody has to communicate. Everybody has to be on the same page because this is an offense based on pace that can cause some issues. Even though, you know, last week I think I think of the total plays run, I think they were actually even. We at right here. I think it was like 64 plays. Each team ran 64 plays, if I'm not mistaken. So, you know, I think when you're looking at you know the pace and everything, I think that Miami will find a way to slow it down. Like I said, based on you know, game flow, running the ball, and the whole deal. You know, and I think, like I said, the emphasis will be though. Yeah, so total plays, Florida ran 65. South Florida ran 65. Florida ran 64. So, you know, again, not a huge disparity, right, by any stretch. You know, I think with the pace of play, I think Miami will dominate time of possession. You know, and that'll change, you know, Florida's tactics in the second half. But again, I think it'll be close. I think in the beginning, second half, I think Miami runs away with it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Chris Gons, man. Chris, much shout out, bro, who also was commenting while I was on Cafe Show. So
definitely agree with that, Chris.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Chris. Thank you so much. An early supporter of the show and continues to be. Thank you so much, Chris, for everything. Really appreciate you watching and being so supportive of 305 Sports now, and on all of us actually, because you're a major Kings fan altogether. Yeah, I agree with you. I think time possession is going to be very key for Miami. I think establishing the line of scrimmage, making sure that the tempo offense is not on the field much. It's going to be pretty much what Miami's going to try to do throughout the whole game. So a lot of running of the football, a very balanced offense I see. Beck will take shots, though. I mean, he will take shots if their shots are given to him. But we've seen Beck, he doesn't mind the check down. Our running backs are very, they could also make you miss. So I mean, people make fun of check downs. I mean, Chad Henne, you know, when he was with the Dolphins, a lot of people were like, he's check down Chad. But you know what? Check downs are sometimes better than going deep, because when you check the ball down, second and 10 could become 3rd and 1 or first down, because it depends on the situation. So
and what the defense gives you, man, there's nothing
exactly
wrong.
Man. So, and I like that. I really do like that. But if Beck, if he sees he's gonna take it, he's done it quite a few times already. But if you play cover 2, you don't want to give up the deep ball, fine, man. Check it down. I'll take the middle of the field all day long. On defense, physicality is gonna be a major thing. I think they're gonna punish and make USF pay for every single yard they want to gain. Byron Brown is going to have nightmares of Justin Scott, of David Blay, of Ahmad Moten, of Ruben Bain, of Mo Toure as well, Bobo as well, because I think they're going to punish him every single time he decides to take off and run as well. And I do predict that he will turn over the ball this upcoming Saturday.
And that's one of those things, man. You know, it's an offense, you know, with you know, they play with pace and hurry up and the whole deal. And you know, not only will cutting down on possessions for them, you know, affect them, but also too, man, if somebody fumbles the ball, you know, Byron Brown throws a pick, then there goes, you know, there goes your you know, advantage, and that's something now, you know, something that you give the ball back to Miami. Now they eat up 7-8 more minutes of the clock, you know, with running the ball and the whole deal, man. Again, I don't think it's an impossibility, but I definitely expect to, again, in the second half, I expect Miami to take control of this game, and bring it home, you know, again, fairly comfortably come into the game.
I totally agree with you. Q, man, I think we've reached that time, man. We did double duty. I think it's time for us to go to bed.
It's that time, bro. It's that time. My bed is calling me.
Mine too. Still gotta walk my dog, man, but mine too, man. Man, it was a pleasure having you on.
Always.
I had a good time, man. I'm glad we enjoyed our new segment, Our Take. Okay, for just going week. Next week we will be on again. We don't have a date yet set, but I will definitely keep everybody posted. We will be breaking down. The game against the Gators, and we may have a special guest on the show tomorrow. On the show next week. Haven't announced it yet because I have to confirm, but I'll let you guys know immediately when that individual, if that individual could come on. as well. Q, you got anything coming up with the I Hate Football podcast or College Blitz?
Yeah, bro. We have we just did one tonight. Me and Russ just put out our latest episode of College Blitz, and I'll have something on the I Hate Football podcast coming out. If not tomorrow, latest Monday, I'll have a new one coming out. Do a little thing on Jerry Jones and my opinion about all that. All that going on with him, and addressing, he's such a great businessman and the whole deal, but his shortcomings with Dallas. So if anybody's interested in that one, man, check it out. That'll be coming out in the next couple days. So yeah, check me out on I Hate Football podcast on YouTube and IG, Hate Football Pod on X. You can give me a like and a follow.
Since you brought up Jerry Jones, did you see the documentary on Netflix?
I have not. I haven't watched it, man. I'm a staunch Cowboys hater. I haven't got around to watching it. Maybe.
Yeah, but you got that UM blood, dude. There's a lot of Jimmy Johnson in there. There's a lot of Michael Irvin in there.
I may find time to watch it. More like a rage watch, than anything. But if it's football, more likely I'm going to watch it. The one I won't watch is the Kingdom, the one with the Chiefs. I refuse. I absolutely will not watch that.
Oh man,
I'm absolutely not. My Niners have lost them twice in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I'm Patrick Mahomes out. Somebody else can watch that. I'll pass. But the Cowboys one, I'll watch that. The Cowboys.
It was well done. I didn't watch it because I didn't care for it because I thought it was about like the current season. And I don't want to watch this, bro, because I don't care about the Cowboys like that. But when I saw Jimmy Johnson, the trailer
from
Netflix
kind of
aired,
the beginning.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I was like, oh, now I'm definitely interested because the whole UM connection. And the one thing it doesn't, I don't know how they pull it off. The one thing about Netflix that they never fail on a documentary. Like they never
they do
fail.
well with it.
They're great. Whether it's sports or even like I'm a history nerd, when they do the documents on history, they do such a good job of keeping you entertained, with it.
100%.
Yeah, that I think they're the best, to be honest with you. Better than Prime, better than Hulu, even better than Max. But yeah, man, I recommend it, to be frank with you. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, they do a good job with the docs for sure.
Yeah, man. So I do recommend it. If you want to, especially if you're nostalgic about the old Canes and seeing Jimmy Johnson and seeing how he governed that team like a dictator, and Troy Aikman was like the good cop to Jimmy Johnson's bad cop.
Yeah,
all those things. Seeing Dion, how he torched the Cowboys and they basically broke the bank to get him. All those things. In general, man, check it out, man. I really recommend it.
I'll do it, brother. I'll do it.
Yeah, I really recommend it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for me. That's it for Q as well. Please do not forget to subscribe to the I Hate Football podcast on YouTube. Don't forget also subscribe on X and subscribe also to FTSN Extra, where College Blitz is located. And of course, do not forget to subscribe to me, all right, as well. If it's your first time watching, this is 305 Sports Now. I am your host, Will. Please, everybody, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Be safe. God bless, and see you soon. Go Canes, guys.
Peace.